And we need a packet. All right. Call to order the Raymore Park Board meeting for Tuesday, May 22nd, 2018. I need a roll call.
Member Cipolla. Present. Member Harris.
Present.
Member Heath.
Present.
Member Howdy Shell.
Present.
Member Troutman.
Present.
Chairman Manson.
Present.
Members Seamers, Eastwood, and that's it. Those two are absent. Castleman.
Okay.
And he's resigned.
Well, we have a vacancy, right? Just
Vacancy,
two serving
correct.
members are absent.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We're not going to take any personal appearances. Item 5, it's going to be the consent agenda. This is for the Park Board minutes for April 24th, 2018. Are there any amendments or changes to be made? Director Mustine.
Yes, sir. Staff has found one thing that needs to be adjusted in the within the minutes. Staff present, it lists Office Assistant Nab as being present at the meeting. She was not there, so we will make that change. So if you guys would make note of that in your acceptance.
Thank you, sir. Any other corrections? All right, in that case, I'll entertain a motion. Brian.
I move we accept the consent agenda as presented with the one adjustment on the minutes.
I'll second.
All right, a motion made and seconded to accept the Park Board minutes for April 24th, 2018. Any discussion on those? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? All right, passes 6, 2 absent. There are no committee reports for either recreation budget or ground at this time. I'll go to staff reports. Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. I will ask Recreation Superintendent McLean to make a recreation report.
Thank you, sir. I have presented a written report in your guys' packet today. I would like to highlight a few things. First off, I want to congratulate Athletic Coordinator Todd Brennan. On May 7th, he earned his Certified Youth Sports Administrator. That particular certification is very highly recognized in the sports world. It's for youth sports professionals and administrators, and has an abundance of resources that he will be able to use in his career here and on into the future. So one, I want to thank him for his hard work and dedication. It is something we wanted to see in the athletic coordinator position when we presented this position to the board and got this position passed, and he's worked very hard to get it and obtain it. So I want to congratulate Mr. Brennan on obtaining that certification. It is a busy time, of course, so Recreation Coordinator Katie Patrick, she did a training on When I Work. That is actually an app. She is going to try to utilize this app for scheduling of summer camp. All the staff, the multiple staff shifts that we have, all the different age groups. It'll be an app that she has done a lot of research on, went through a webinar on, and presented it to myself, and it looks very user-friendly for staff as well as for the part-time staff users. So it helps her set the schedule and get it out and keep up to date with it. So very helpful. gives us the whole summer, and they can put in all their vacation times and everything, and when they're available and when they're not. And so I think it'll be a very useful tool. So does she. So, and then tonight, both coordinators are at Centerview right now with the part-time staff going through their first aid, CPR, and AED training for all summer personnel that is working for the department. And this morning they both attended the point of sale. If you remember, we asked to add the point of sale option to RecTrack. It's a module in our software system that will help us with our concession stands. So we're getting it online before the RAC, and it's getting up to date, and hopefully we'll be able to implement it fairly quickly. They're adding in all the concession items for that. So we're getting the computers and the internet out at the concession stand, so this is just that process as well. So they went through a training this morning on that and getting all the setup done for that program. Staff counselors for summer camp, they're in training. They started training last week and have a few nights this week, and then of course we kick off summer camp next week. So we're getting all those young new staff members, part-time staff members, trained and ready to go. And then just a couple other things. We had multiple graduation parties. So Centerview was a very busy facility over the last couple weekends. If you drove by, you would have seen multiple parking lots being used for all the graduation parties. So congratulations to all the graduates, and thanking their parents and families for hosting their parties at our facility. Then finally, just to wrap up, I worked with the Raymore Peculiar Public School Foundation on the Mad Dash 5K at Recreation Park at the beginning of the month. We had a great turnout, about 160 people, I believe, and that one has continued to grow. This was our third year of hosting it at Recreation Park, and we had great reviews, and awesome weather. And then, of course, coming up, June 2nd, we got the fishing derby, and then, of course, June 30th, we have our Spirit of America that I'd like to remind everybody. And that is it for my report. Sorry, it was a little lengthy.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Superintendent McLean? Brian.
Thank you, sir. First question, the point of sale, that allows credit cards at the concession stands, right?
Yes.
Which we haven't had at this point.
We had with the iPads. We had two iPads that we were using. They had ETS, which is the actual credit card module. We manually put in the amounts. This one is attached to the computer, so it's a touch screen. It's like any fast food restaurant. It's an actual touch screen IT has purchased, and we will just be able to touch the screen. It does that, and then we'll swipe, have a credit card swiper and everything.
Okay. The other thing, the baseball tournaments, how have those been turning out? Good, bad? I think I saw a note that softball was canceled last weekend. I assume that was lightning rather than rain, or both, maybe.
It was a little bit of both, but this last weekend, of course, the report was already submitted, but this last weekend it did rain out both days. So it's we had one other one, the very first one of the year was rained out as well. Those are the only two. The largest one had 22, and the smallest one at this time had 13 teams. So,
good.
And it was just a Saturday and a half day. Sunday was the smallest one, but the largest one was all 3 nights. They went Friday all the way Saturday and all day Sunday.
And that's the 4 big fields they use?
Yes.
Okay. They don't go to any of the smaller fields, the big boys? Okay. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Superintendent? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Director Mustine.
Thanks, sir. I'll call on Mr. Rulo to do a parks report.
Thank you. I've given you guys a written report, but wanted to hit on a few key things. I'm not sure if anybody's been down to Rec Park in the past 2 weeks, but Tandem Asphalt Company has been down there. If you guys recall, there was a safety trail that was in our CIP, basically to get pedestrians off of the parking lot. That trail, the majority of the trail, probably 75% of it is done and completed. Looks fantastic. The night that they finished it, whenever I was leaving, it seemed like it was just a whole new park. People were on the trail. They weren't in the parking lot. So I think, Mr. Harris, I think this was your idea several years ago. It's fantastic. About 75% done. They'll be back. I think they're going in this week and next week, finishing a punch list up at Memorial Park on that project, and then they'll be back to finish the rest of it. Also wanted to let you know or hit on the Bridging the Gap, and 10 volunteers came in last Tuesday, and we planted, I think, 52 or 42 trees along that trail, and it really spiced it up. We've had several comments on them since we planted them. We will do everything we can to baby those in not great soil. They were mostly oak trees, split red and white. So if you get a chance, you ought to go down there and take a look at it. I think you guys will be very impressed. And I also wanted to say I'm looking forward to seeing Bradley Simmons, who you guys will meet here at the end of the meeting. He is doing an Eagle Scout project for us. He's come to present to you all tonight. Looking forward to helping him out in any way and seeing the outcome. So that's all I have, and I'll be willing to take any questions.
Any questions for Superintendent? Brian?
2 questions. 75% complete, and I can stare at this picture of those trails all day long. Which part's not done yet?
The part they're replacing the bridge that's there right by the lake, by the pond. They're replacing that with a boardwalk, and then a trail that will extend on up to a crosswalk that will go to the rack. That's pretty much the only thing.
So the stuff that follows the fence and the 3 connectors to the parking lot are all done?
Yes, and all the connectors to soccer also.
The connector soccer, okay. And the trees you planted are along that new connector by the parking lot?
Yes.
I assume they're between the walk and the parking lot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, Superintendent. Director Mustine.
Thanks, sir. I've also submitted a staff report, just a couple highlights. Staff, as well as some other city employees that will be on our team for the all-inclusive playground at Hawk Ridge Park, will be meeting the majority of Thursday afternoon with Unlimited Play. That will be lining out our design, getting everything ready to go, the fundraising efforts, all of those things will be kind of finalized on Thursday, and we hope from that point we move forward with a pretty aggressive plan to get that effort out on the street. So looking forward to that project. Our Arboretum, just keep in mind at some point, a date to be announced in June, we will have a ribbon cutting ceremony at Memorial Park. We've kind of prolonged several little events to make one big ribbon cutting, a re-grand opening, if you will, but it will highlight the Arboretum, in which we'll do our Arbor Day celebration and grand open the Arboretum. It will also ribbon cut the new trail that has been in place for the majority of the winter, but it'll be complete with the parking lot expansion, the improvements to the baseball diamonds, the historic mural will be finished at that point. In addition, the Park Foundation has donated and purchased a flagpole, and so that work began. We signed a notice to proceed last week to remove the old flagpole and replace with a new flagpole in a more prominent location. So we have a lot of projects going on at Memorial Park. It's going to feel like a brand new park by the time we're done. So we're just kind of sandbagging all those things and do one ceremony. And we'll announce that date as soon as all the little things are complete and we're ready to go. In addition to that, I want to remind everybody that the farmers market begins. It's every Tuesday, June through September. So don't forget that. Fishing Derby, summer camp is going. We have Raymore United tryouts, team registrations, signups. I put that information in your packet. We're online. We're on Facebook. Any questions, feel free to call our Parks and Rec office. And then I wanted to congratulate and make mention Monique Lewis, long-term Park Board member, City Council member, Park Board member again, currently doing a program at Centerview Myself and Mr. Cataret, the Community Development Director, we nominated her and did some recon work on her history of volunteer service in Raymore, and nominated her for the 2018 Lieutenant Governor Senior Service Award. She was one of 70 people across the state of Missouri who was awarded that, and the only one in Cass County. So it was pretty, I think she was pretty pleased, and she definitely didn't know about it until they called her. So she was able to go down to Jefferson City and receive that award, and I put the write-up in my packet in case you guys didn't get to see that. So congratulations to Monique. She's as sharp as ever and fantastic, and she'll cut you down like a knife if you test her a little bit. So glad to see her every Tuesday coming to teach a class. With that, that concludes staff report, sir.
Any questions for the director? Brian? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, what's Monique teaching?
Monique came to our department through to apply for a grant through MARC, Mid-America Regional Council, for an age mastery program, which is basically a grant program where it's a 10-week program that part of the grant was we offered our facility and services to host it, and MARC provides the resources to offer the class. They need a volunteer to help facilitate it each week, and Monique and one of her colleagues does that. And it is basically for seniors or the aging population. Every week's a different topic, whether it be health or finances or retirement or Social Security or insurance, whatever the case may be. There's all these different classes, and it's been very successful. And it is in Raymore, one of the only places in this Kansas City metro area at Centerview, and that is because Monique had the vision to bring it here. And we had been working on that long before Centerview had even opened. She and I had been discussing that and trying to bring that here. And so I believe it wraps up in 2 weeks, and then we'll have a graduation ceremony. They'll have a graduation ceremony at Centerview. And so it's a great program.
Brian?
I have one small question, and it was item number 2 in your report. The colors and design layout for the floor at the rack were finalized. Can you give me some more detail on what that is
That would
and what
be
that entails?
the colors and the design layout for the floor. Jim,
Read that.
It's the line. It's the out of bounds lines.
That's
the
it?
walking track. Yeah.
It's got colors. I mean, is it a colored floor? Is it just a white floor? Is it blue?
The floor
green?
is. I would say it's a maple wood colored floor. The lines are black, blue, white, and we just kind of laid out how the volleyball is going to overlay the basketball, where the walking track is going to be underneath the bleachers.
Well, that's not as exciting as I thought it was going to be. Because honestly, when I saw the paint color on the basketball outside at Rec Park, it really is spiced up odd. So I was thinking maybe we were doing like neon yellow and some orange and maybe some glow or something.
We are putting the logo in the middle of the court.
Oh, that'll be cool. Cool. Okay. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Linda?
So when you said lines, we talked about pickleball. Did we do that? Not?
We chose not to do pickleball at this time. We have 6 outdoor courts with pickleball, and we looked at several court designs that had those things, and it was just very cluttered. And so we opted for volleyball because it has the greatest need at this point. The expansion at some point, we would consider pickleball in lieu of volleyball, but at that, we'll make that decision at that time.
So it's just basketball and volleyball?
Yes,
Okay.
and the walking track.
Any other questions for the superintendent, pardon me, for the director? I almost demoted you.
Feels that way every day, sir.
Always a possibility, yes. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. We don't have any, there's no old business. We'll move on to new business. Item A on the agenda. This is City Council Parks and Recreation Board MOU. Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. If the board will recall, the Park Board and the City Council have an agreement between them, a memorandum of understanding in how the two groups function within the city, and how my department also plays a role in that relationship. This MOU I've given to you in draft form. It's just a cleaned up version. There were no changes in the terminology or the way it's written or anything. But this is for your review. Per the MOU's requirement, is to be reviewed every 2 years on the even years. So this is for the board to take a look at, make any recommendations to staff, and then we will present that together to the city council at an upcoming joint work session that is scheduled for June 4th. So at this time, staff is asking that if there are any changes or anything that you would like as a topic of discussion to place on that agenda item, I would need that at this time. Otherwise, we are asking for a motion to formally approve the document with or without the changes you request. That concludes staff report.
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion on the MOU? Any changes that members want to propose? Are we asking for, I didn't ask for a motion yet, thank you.
I'm not making a motion.
All
There's
right,
one
good.
thing I would like to discuss, and that's section 3A and 2, the evaluation of the Parks Director. I think, and I've been trying to find the information, I didn't really know what search terms to put, and I know the city council discussed this at one point. The city manager, I think, if I remember right in this conversation, the city manager was evaluated by the mayor only at one point, and they changed that to the full city council now does that evaluation. Considering how this works, that the park director serves the full board as a whole, I'm wondering if the evaluation should also go to the full park board instead of just the chair. Just a thought that kind of falls in line with the way the city council does it. So there's some consistency there amongst the city council and all the boards. I know there's been a couple other changes that have been made over the years just to kind of keep that consistency from the council to boards and commissions. And I think that's one that they just added. I don't know if it was a city charter change. I just remember seeing that discussion in the last several months. And I think it would be something good for this park board to consider.
Are you asking for a discussion on that particular matter? Or are you making a point? Just
A little of both. If somebody wants to chime in, they can chime in. Maybe people don't have any interest in doing it. I can't make people discuss it, but.
Right. Well, in other words, it's an open topic.
Yeah.
Subject.
Yeah, it's just one of the things I looked at that I just want to throw out there.
Are there any comments from other board members? Melinda?
Well, I mean, one of the things I know that we've strived to do is try to keep consistency throughout. So for me, it would make sense that if, you know, council's going to do it, then the board should do it. So the review. So that's my 2 cents.
Any other comments?
Yeah, can I piggyback on something? And this goes to what you were saying in our work session. I don't know if we should even set a date in here and when that happens. So that way, if people do come on agenda, I don't know, when's your evaluation happen? I know it was kind of a weird
You want me to
timing.
make a comment on that?
Yes, sir. If you'll read the last sentence, in accordance with the personnel code of the city of Raymore, all of the city staff are evaluated on their anniversary date at this point. And I will make one note, there is a difference between the parks director position and the city manager, and that is the city manager is by contract. I am not by contract. I'm a hired employee. I'm an at-will employee. I'm hired and fired however they see fit. So that is a significant difference between myself and the city manager. He is contract, which is contracted by the council, which is why his evaluation is full council.
Okay, that makes sense. Good enough for me. But the personnel code of the city of Raymore doesn't mean it couldn't be changed, right? Could it be? I don't know. Since the evaluation's a little differently than most personnel.
The personnel code is approved by the council, and they are actively going through that now, going through with it being presented during work sessions and then following work session being approved by the council. I don't know if that particular chapter has been there yet, but I know that the change has been made. It used to be a one specific time during the year, usually August was typical, and recently they've changed that to be on the anniversary date to kind of spread that out so it's not such a process for over 100 employees to pretty much
To get done in a few
shut down
weeks.
for a month to get it done. So it has spread that out quite a bit. My hire date was in March, so it will change my evaluation to March from this year, moving
Okay.
forward.
Well, to help out a little bit on that, the chair usually seeks input from, should always and does seek input from board members. And not to go into the evaluation process, basically the goals and objectives that we set are principally the main things that we have, I think that we need to feel that we have the strongest input on. The rest of it is basically something that falls more to the city manager. So that is, whoever sits in the chair should always have that input from the board and should seek it. And I like to think we've had that in the past.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not happening, but it doesn't have to happen, right? Doesn't have to happen. And I would rather see that it does happen.
Well,
I mean, we changed this MOU to be reviewed every 2 years because we want to review it every 2 years, not it's just in perpetuity until somebody decides to make a change, where then it just sits there and carries, right? So I think it's important enough that it should be something that's required, that it should be required for the whole board. But that's me.
so what you're saying is you want it in writing.
I do, but maybe nobody else does.
Well,
Maybe nobody else wants to get into that level of it.
well, basically, since this is more of a personnel code that's set forth by the city charter, and that's covered pretty much by the administrators, and you have your chair that acts as your liaison with the council and with the staff, and all that input, that's what you're funneling your information and your wants and needs through is the chair. So whoever sits in the chair is actually, you're a one-on-one contact on that. It minimizes confusion and rancor if we do it that way. If you have, besides that, I think if you try to put this in here in the MOU where you want something specific as far as an evaluation, it might go contrary to what the actual charter and code permits. So I think we may be in a little gray area there. That's just my idea. Any other comments? Steve?
I'm going to take a little different side to this. And my thought process is the chair spends most of the time with the director. Me as a board member, I don't spend as much time with the chair, so it's hard for me to get into the ins and outs of an evaluation. And that would be my concern, is that I'm putting input in that might or might not be, because I don't see behind the curtain and so forth as much as the chair would. So that's just my input to it.
All right, so the idea here is, since we're discussing this, is this an element we want to introduce into the director for consideration for injecting that into a future MOU, into this MOU? Or do we let it stand and have a motion and pass this as is?
Just let it go.
All right, Brian. If that's the case, I'll entertain a motion at this time for approval of the MOU as it stands to be forwarded to the city council through staff.
I'm going to second you. I was already ready.
I move we accept the MOU as presented and take forward to the city council.
And I will second that.
All right, a motion's been made and seconded for acceptance of the MOU as it's stated to be presented to city council by staff. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor? All right, it passes. 6 none, 2 absent. All right, item B on the agenda. This is capital improvement plan. Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. Before you tonight is the proposed 5-year capital improvement plan. This is something we've been working on for several months, several work sessions. The board will recall in February, we took unfunded projects or project ideas. We did rank them. We brought them back to you to confirm those prices, that scenario on a couple different occasions. So what you have before you tonight is the staff's proposed CIP based on your recommendations. What we're asking for tonight is approval of this, and then this will pass on to the finance department in preparation for the city manager's review. What I would like to do real quick is just to summarize this and the changes, to give you a quick 1-2 on what we've done. The priority rankings, the majority of those things were based on TB Hanna. So in effort to our experiences, when we lump some projects together like that, we tend to get better pricing. So I went ahead and put the TB Hanna enhancements together as kind of a package or a phase 2 of TB Hanna. We placed that. The only place within our fiscal years that we could afford to do all those is the 5-year out. Feel like that's appropriate. We've got another year worth of construction in there, and then we can build that fund balance up to work those projects. So if you look on, I've attached it, and I know it's very small, and I apologize for that, but if you look on the attachment of the CIP, what we've done is in fiscal year 18 and 19, which that will begin November 1st, we have added what we felt we took out of your priority rankings, and where we felt like the funding was available and we could make these projects kind of fit in a groove and be able to be funded. So next year we added the trail lights at Memorial Park. I just explained earlier in my staff report all the new things going on at Memorial Park. Well, one thing we did not have budgeted and could not afford is those lights, and they are falling apart weekly, and they're so old that we can't really buy repair parts. What this proposal is the purchase to replace those, and then we as a staff will go in and install them. So this would replace all 13 of the light poles at Memorial Park, which would match the teardrop lighting. And we felt like that is the most urgent, not in terms of just aesthetics at the park, but also safety. So that's why that rose to the top of the priority list. If you move into fiscal year 2019, what we did here was we took another look at the dog park, the funding for that. We know that price has been attached to that project for several years now, and we have not done anything to that. So we added $50,000 to that project to kind of enhance that as we go. So I figured Member Cipolla would be extremely excited about that. That's why I didn't say anything about it until tonight, so I could get that reaction on television. The next year is fiscal 2020. We really didn't do anything in that year. That's a pretty lofty year in terms of projects with the, Rec Park playground replacement, and then also with another playground addition at the Pavilion Rack area. So the funding just wasn't available there, so we left that. The next year is fiscal year 2021. What we added here was the scoreboards at Recreation Park Baseball. If the board remembers, the Park Foundation funded 2 of those and requested that the board fund the remaining to get the entire complex taken care of. This funding includes that donation of 2 scoreboards and completes that whole project. So we pushed that back. That money will be earmarked in the new community foundation and will be spent on the scoreboards. And then we will fund the rest, and that includes purchase and installation. And then finally, the next year out, the new year, is fiscal year 2022, and that is the TB Hanna park enhancements, and that sums up our priorities for the CIP that we have funding for. So we hope that you're pleased with with the way we've included these based on your rankings, and staff is looking for approval of this to move on. And with that, concludes staff report.
Any questions for the director? Point of clarification. You said TB Hanna for 2020, 21, 22. I think that's Hawk Ridge.
TB Hanna is scheduled for 2022, 2023, that fiscal year 2022.
Right.
And these are capital projects.
Right. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Well, that was clarified. Thank you. Brian.
Is it too late to change things? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding because I know that'll drive you crazy. I make a motion we approve the CIP and move it forward.
Second. All right, motion been made and seconded to approve the CIP projects for the projected 5 years. Any discussion? Hearing none, thankfully. I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? All right, passes in 6, none, 2 absent. With that, we'll proceed to public comment. And I think we have a young man that's here tonight presenting a project. Bradley?
Hi, as you know, I was introduced. My name is Bradley Simmons. I'm a Life Scout right now. I'm trying to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout. As you may or may not be aware, the Boy Scouts of America has been promoting that Scouts do more conservation projects. As my dad has a long history of working with the Missouri Department of Conservation and other federal conservation agencies, I decided to follow in his path in doing so. So I thought about what I wanted to do for my Eagle Scout project for a while, and I decided to make a monarch butterfly habitat. This would benefit 2 endangered species, the monarch butterflies and milkweed plants. So step 1 was to research more about this topic. So I called out to Burr Oak Woods and spoke to an expert conservation agent. I scheduled an interview with the conservation agent. When I met with her, we had a short but detailed interview, providing me with crucial information. Here are the notes from that meeting. Of course, the interview was more detailed, but that covers the basis of what we talked about. She also gave me several pamphlets, which is where I came up with the design for my placement of the plants. I had a sketch that was loosely based on the format and a pamphlet to go with it, but I decided to change it just for the sake of it. This is a lot easier to do. Then I went on to find a location for my project. I found a location that would have been perfect for my project, but after I spoke with City Councilman Joe Burke, he recommended me talk with the city clerk. The city clerk then gave me the email to contact Mr. Crass. And here's the email I sent to him. He's with Public Works. Mr. Crass forwarded me to Mr. Moosteen. From Mr. Moosteen, I found out that spot has other plants. Moosteen? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make you nervous.
Oh, okay. It didn't work. Not at all. I found out that that spot has other plans in the future, but I also got a letter of intent. Here's our emails.
I recognize that.
Yep. Where was I? So then I had to price the plants, so I made calls to the suppliers recommended by Burr Oak Woods conservation agent. The prices were very similar, but I chose Missouri Wildflower Nursery in Jefferson City as my supplier. I found that they would offer me a Boy Scout discount after the plan was approved by council, and it has now been approved by council, so the prices are $425, totaling my cost to be less than $280 for all the plants. Then I did research on the cost of of mulch. I researched multiple websites and stores. I found that my mulch would cost me $3 per bag, and I figured I needed 17 bags by the square footage, making my total for the mulch $51, which was less because I found mulch on sale, and I have the receipt for that here. It's a different receipt.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'll find that receipt. It was less than that amount. After I added $75 onto the cost of my project for food and drinks, I then added $18 on the cost to the final number for supplies needed to make the watering system. I found the total cost estimate being less than $428. Then I made a plan for watering the plants. I asked my dad if I could use the 150-gallon water tank in the back of his truck. He approved, but then the water tank crashed and burned. Of course, right as we were about to use it. It's been fine for 10 years, and then it broke. So now a renting place is letting me use a water tank for a week and for only $25, I think. $25 for 1 week using the water tank. So then I decided an irrigation pole to hook up to the water tank. It would be connected by a garden hose and the water tank. And it would make it more efficient watering than just hosing everyone down. Next I made a sequence of operations. I would have 4 work... What? Oh, yes. I forgot to hand out the drawing for the irrigation pole. Next, I made a sequence of operations. I would have 4 work days. The first work day would be spraying vegetation in the planting area. Mr. Rulo found someone who would spray it down, and it's been sprayed now. Work day 2, I need a scout to help me flag and identify the plant locations and measure out where I'm going to put each plant. I will label them with orange, blue, white, green, yellow, blue, orange flags. Work day 3, I need 1 scout to help me build my irrigation pole or the watering system. Day 4, which is Saturday, the 26th, we'll be planting. We'll be planting and mulching. I will have a larger crew that day as there's more manual labor to do. So after that, it'll just be me going back every 3 or 4 days watering for the next couple of weeks. And that's the basics of my project. I hope you approve it. Thank you.
Did you keep copies of all the documents you presented to Mr. Mustine?
I think so. Yep, right there.
No, did you keep copies of it?
You have your own copies?
No.
You should. That's a work project that you should take some pride in. And it's something you may want to show your kids someday.
Okay.
Anyway, Melinda.
How old are you?
I'm 14.
That is really impressive, one, to going for your Eagle Scout at 14, but you were, I've heard these before and never had anybody so detailed and meticulous, so
Thank you.
good job, and I'm excited to see it.
Jenny.
That's something that I want to make note of too. I agree with her wholeheartedly. This is the best presentation, and I applaud you. Good work.
Thank you. It would be better if I got to pass you guys all the notes, but I would have to walk all the way around. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Superintendent.
6.
I just want to also add that Bradley is part of Troop 1510. I forgot to say that a while ago, and I think he forgot to say that too.
Yeah,
So.
sorry.
Oh, his project is going to be, you guys are all familiar with the disc golf course down at Recreation Park. Hole number 16, which is just east of the soccer fields, used to be just a bunch of tall weeds with an X or a cross cut between them. He's taken one of those, one of the corners, and is building his monarch garden in there, with the hopes of in the future we'll have more Eagle Scouts come in and they can continue this on all 4 coordinates, and we'll have a nice monarch garden there one day to play disc golf through.
I'd like to also add, the project's pretty unique for us in that we are part of the mayoral monarch pledge that's nationwide through the National Wildlife Federation. So City of Raymore is listed on that registry, so this will count towards our credit for staying up to date when we make that application in December. So we'll be able to use this project not only as a cooperative effort, but also with just credit for the number of plantings, the acreage, and things like that. So it works well for us as also.
Any other questions for this young man? Brian?
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I want to ditto what these two ladies said. Young sir, that plan was awesome. I've been doing this 10 years, and I've heard, I don't know, 10 Eagle Scout projects, maybe 12 over the years. By far the most detailed I've had. It had a lot of detail. It had a lot of paperwork to back it up. Small pauses to pass it. Humor was built into it. Thank you very much for the work you put in. Congratulations. That's quite impressive. I was a Boy Scout, but I didn't last nearly that long. But thank you. Thank you for doing your work here. Good luck to you.
Director Mustaine, a recommendation?
Staff recommends that we approve this project and move forward.
All right, I'll entertain, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we approve the project.
I'd like to second that.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the Eagle Scout project for the Monarch Garden. All right, any discussion? Not hearing any. I'll take a vote at this time. All those in favor? All right, passes 6, no dissent, and we have 2 absent. Thank you, sir. With that, we'll proceed to the next item. That's going to be board comment. I'll start out with my comment for the evening. It's been a pleasure working with the staff and this board, which has been outstanding over the last years, and the way they've been able to handle the projects, the number of them, and the fact that we've worked so well. And I feel that that is probably because of the unique status and professionalism of the staff and the personalities that comprise the board. So thank you all very much for that experience. Now, Jenny.
I hope we get to see you again soon. And I'm sad that you're going. This is an opportunity for us to grow and to continue. But mostly, you guys, I just, every week, I drive past that rack. I look out onto Memorial Park, and I just want to thank you for everything that you guys do in the ball fields, and they look great. And just, yay, Raymore.
Thank you. Brian.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I hope everybody gets out and enjoy the park. We finally have gotten through our fake spring weather right into our summer weather and enjoying it. I'd also like to congratulate Monique on her award. We did serve on the park board for several years on 2 different occasions, and she is a very lovely lady, and that award is well deserved for her. And I'd like to finish up thanking Mr. Manson for his service to this board and your service to the city. Even though we definitely did see eye to eye on everything, that doesn't mean we aren't friends. We know we'll see you around because I see you out enjoying the activities just like everybody else. You're not moving away, you're just relocating. So thank you very much for your service. This is kind of a thankless position here, and it's very quiet. A lot of people don't know what we do. But you know, and we know, and thank you very much.
Thank you for those sentiments, Brian. Jim.
I'd like to thank staff for all their hard work. Everything's going well, it looks like, and keep the circus going. So, and I thank Bradley for coming in. That was an awesome presentation, absolutely. I've actually known him a while. He's a great young man, so it's great to see him continuing on. Bill, it's been an honor serving with you, and hope we'll see you again.
Thank you. Steve?
I have nothing. No, I'm kidding, Bill. I just, both for Member Castleman and both Chairman Manson, I appreciate all the hard work that you guys have done over the years and the dedication to helping staff do what they can do. And again, just to get to know you guys as friends and members has just been a great deal for me, so I appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Melinda?
I'm just going to kind of piggyback on everybody else and say thank you for serving. I've enjoyed my time serving with you, and I'm sure we'll see you around. And then same thing for Sheldon Castleman. Gosh, thanks, Sheldon, for all that you've done with the city and for the park board and all your time here. And we just wish you both good luck and come back and see us.
Thank you. And passing too, I'd like to say I appreciated working with Sheldon and this board too. He made things a lot clearer at times, and he did help us steer a good course. So with that, I'll entertain a motion at this time to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and second to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor? All right, this park board meeting's closed.